Someone can flip a switch in your body and you disappear. Not asleep. Gone. No dreams, no time. Then, click, you're back. So what did they turn off? A brain or a broadcast? If your awareness can vanish without damaging a single memory wire, maybe you are not in the brain at all. Maybe breathe. Feel the space behind your thoughts. Hear that quiet? That's where we're going. For most of your life, you've been told a story, a neat, simple, reassuring story, that consciousness lives in the folds of gray matter, that neurons spark and somehow give birth to you. But tonight, we're going deeper. Tonight, I'm asking you to hold still long enough to consider the possibility that your thoughts are not locked inside your skull at all. That awareness is not the smoke of the brain. It is the fire the brain was designed to channel. Take a breath now, slowly, fully. Inhale, hold, and let it fall out of you like a tide going home. That breath is proof. You are both the one who breathes and the one who notices the breath. Two layers, two mirrors, two realities coexisting. Which one is real? The one you control, or the one that watches? Pause here with me. Let silence answer what words can't, because silence carries a different weight than speech. It is not empty, it is alive. And when you feel it pressing against you, when you notice the hum in the air, that is your first taste of the field, the place where you are not only a body, the place where you are a broadcast. They call it anesthesia, a clear liquid in a syringe. It enters your vein, and within seconds, the world vanishes. Not sleep, not dream, nothing. Time itself erased, then, click, you return. Hours gone, skin cut open, stitched back together, yet no story in between, no passage, no memory. Just if the brain is only wiring, how does one molecule silence the symphony of your being so completely? Neurons still fire under anesthesia. Electrical patterns still flicker. The machinery continues. But you do not. What disappeared was not activity. It was awareness, not the machine, but the signal it receives. Imagine a radio. The circuits buzz, the wires hum, the battery flows with charge. But if the station collapses, silence, a machine without a voice. That's what anesthesia shows us. That awareness is not soldered into the hardware. It is tuned. It is fragile. It is broadcast. Take a breath here. Longer this time. Inhale, hold. Feel the thin thread that ties you to this moment. And exhale slowly. Ask yourself, who is the one noticing the gap between the inhale and the exhale? The body, or the awareness behind it? For centuries, science told us you are an accident of flesh. That consciousness is only a byproduct, a side effect. But the off switch reveals something deeper. If your awareness can vanish like light unplugged and return untouched, then you are not the bulb. You are the electricity. You are the current. And if current cannot be destroyed, only rerouted, only transformed, what does that say about you? About death? About every time you've wondered whether the end is really the end? This is where the story bends. This is where the cracks in the old narrative begin to spread, and through those cracks, another truth emerges. There are moments you can't file under biology. The answer arrives before the question finishes forming. The idea lands fully built at 3:17 a.m. Your hand reaches for the phone before it rings. Logic calls it coincidence. But your body knows a different word: recognition. It feels like turning a corner to find a street you've never walked. Insight doesn't crawl. It appears. Intuition doesn't argue. It announces. And somewhere between the inhale and the exhale, you realize your best thinking didn't come from thinking at all. It came from a silence that keeps speaking when you stop interrupting it. So the old story, mind equals brain equals wiring, begins to fray because wiring explains signals, but it doesn't explain you. Pause with me, just for a breath. Inhale, hold, let go slowly. Notice the space after the breath, the blank room behind the sound. That space is where solutions stand waiting, unbothered by hurry, untouched by fear. When you enter that room, the world, not because you forced it, but because you finally matched its frequency. They say reality doesn't settle until something looks. Possibilities hover like birds, everywhere at once, until a gaze invites them to land. What if you are that gaze? What if your quiet attention is the pin that chooses the timeline? You don't need to squeeze outcomes to make them real. You need to witness them clearly enough that the noise can't drown the signal. Stillness is not passivity. It is precision. When you stop thrashing in the river, the current you actually wanted can finally claim you. So soften the eyes. Lengthen the spine by one invisible notch. Let the lower ribs widen. Just a little. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, hold. 1, 2, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Picture the moment that belongs to you. The open door. The yes, the aligned room. Don't chase it. Let it come to you. See it without decorating it. Hear it without narrating it. Breathe as if you're inside it already. That's not pretending. It's tuning. That's not fantasy. It's fidelity. Your mouth can say abundance, while your diaphragm whispers danger. Guess which one the room obeys? The signal lives in posture and breath tempo, in the quiet muscles under your words. The world responds to coherence when body, breath, and beliefs stop contradicting each other. Coherence feels like the chest widening by a centimeter, the jaw unhooking, the eyes seeing more of the edges of the room. In that tiny expansion, opportunity hears permission. Try this with me. No performance, only precision. Let the tongue rest heavy at the floor of your mouth. Float the crown of your head up, like a string is attached. Draw a breath low enough that the belly, not the shoulders, moves first. Exhale longer than you inhale, and whisper in the chest, not the throat. I choose from arrival. Again, softer. I choose from arrival. Feel how the sentence changes the body, and how the body changes the sentence. You think of someone, and they message. You walk into a building, and the hallway already knows whether you belong. Call it intuition, call it a field. Labels are smaller than the experience. Connection is not earned by effort. It is revealed by resonance. When your internal weather clears, other signals can find you. People, chances, answers that were standing 3 feet to your left all year. Breathe like a lighthouse, steady, dependable, unhurried. With the inhale, gather your attention back from everywhere. It's been scattered. With the exhale, let it settle behind the heart. Yes, behind it, like a patient glow. From there, place someone in your mind you care about. Hold them in that quiet. Don't project, don't demand. Just keep the light on. If a feeling rises, trust it. If nothing rises, trust that too. Resonance does not brag, it arranges. There are only 3 levers you ever truly pull. 3 cues that decide whether your signal is static or clear enough to move matter: breath, posture, inner language. That's it. Everything else is decoration. Breath is the metronome of your frequency. Shallow breath says panic. No matter how big your smile looks, wide breath says permission. When the inhale goes low into the belly and the exhale lingers longer than the inhale, the nervous system stops sending SOS signals. The body whispers, safe. And when the body whispers safe, the universe leans closer. Posture is the antenna. You think posture is about looking confident, but posture is geometry. Geometry that decides how your field extends. Rounded forward, shoulders tell the field, collapse me inward. Lengthened spine, chest softened but open, chin slightly back. It tells the field, I can receive, I can project, I can hold more. Every inch of you is either an amplifier or a muffler. And inner language is the dial. The phrases you repeat under your breath, the silent agreements you've made with yourself. Say, I am trying, and the field hears, I have not. Say, I am choosing, and the field hears, already done. Inner language does not hide. It colors every cell, every micro expression, every tone in your voice. The room hears the sentence your nervous system is chanting, not the words your lips perform. Take a breath now. Slowly inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 8. Say softly in your chest, not your throat. I choose from arrival, not from lack. Again, slower. I choose from arrival. Feel the spine respond. Feel the ribs shift. That's coherence. Breath, posture, inner language aligned. When those 3 cues agree, your life stops arguing with you. Most people live in noise, and they wonder why nothing changes. Noise is the constant rehearsal of doubt. What if it fails? What if I'm not enough? What if I lose what I gain? Every thought like that leaks into the body, tightens the room doesn't hear the words. It hears the static. And static always cancels the song you wanted to play. Signal, on the other hand, is rare. Signal doesn't push, signal doesn't plead. Signal states, signal rests. A lion doesn't roar every minute to remind the jungle it is king. Its posture already broadcasts the truth. Its breath already instructs the field. Its stillness already unsettles the noise around it. Right now, close your eyes if you can. Feel where the noise lives. Is it in the jaw, the forehead, the belly that never unclenches? Now soften 1 layer deeper than you think possible. Let the body slump for a second. Then, slowly, stack the spine back up from the pelvis to the crown. Place your hands palms. Up, breathe low, and whisper. Signal, not noise. Do this every day, not as performance, but as recalibration. Rooms will change, conversations will rearrange. You'll stop needing to explain because the world does not obey explanations, it obeys coherence. You've been told to grind to muscle, to scream the silence, and yet forcing has only left you tired, with clenched teeth and restless nights. Forcing broadcasts desperation, and desperation repels what it chases. Receiving is not weakness. It is alignment. Receiving means you've cleared the channel so thoroughly that the outcome has no choice but to recognize itself in you. Imagine twisting the dial on an old radio. You don't add volume, you add clarity. The voice was already there. It was waiting for you to land on the right frequency. So what does receiving look like in a body? It looks like shoulders not reaching for approval. It looks like a chest that expands without needing to prove anything. It looks like a face that no longer clenches around every passing doubt. It looks like a breath that refuses to rush. Try this. Place one hand just behind your heart, even if it feels strange. Inhale as if light is filling from the back, not the front. Exhale as if the entire room is exhaling with you. Then repeat softly 3 times. I allow, I allow, I allow. Notice how the body changes without permission. Notice how the room feels different without effort. That's the pivot. Every outcome you crave, every opportunity, every door, every person. It is not separate. It is entangled. Physics shows us what is observed collapses into form. What is entangled moves together, no matter the distance. When you think of someone you love and they message, this is not magic. This is the hidden thread between fields, tugged by attention, answered by resonance. What you focus on is not neutral. It is instruction. So let's test it. Close your eyes. Picture one outcome you've been chasing. Now, instead of begging for it, imagine you are holding the invisible thread already tied to it. Don't strangle it, breathe, as if it already belongs to you. Whisper softly, we are connected. We are converging. Stay there for 3 breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Now open your eyes. Notice the difference. The room shifted because you shifted. There are flashes you cannot explain. You call them gut feelings. You call them hunches. But sometimes, your hunch outruns logic. Sometimes, the answer lands before the question is even finished. That is not accident. That is awareness working in a dimension deeper than thought. Think of a time you knew, before you knew. You walked into a place and felt heaviness in your chest. Before anyone spoke, you met a stranger and sensed they would matter before you learned their name. Intuition is not a random trick. It is the residue of a signal that already scanned the field faster than your mind could follow. Science tries to call it subconscious processing, but the subconscious is only a doorway. Behind it is a network of probabilities, of timelines your body can sense before your brain translates. Intuition is the broadcast bleeding through, and every time you honor it, the signal strengthens. Every time you ignore it, the static grows louder. Take a moment here. Close your eyes. Say softly, I trust the signal. Again, slower, I trust the signal. Notice how your body shifts when it hears itself. That's not belief. It's recognition. Where do ideas come from? Not from grinding neurons like gears, not from mechanical repetition. They arrive whole. They fall in your lap like gifts from nowhere. That nowhere is not empty. It is the quantum field of possibility. Think about the greatest works of art, the greatest inventions, the sudden songs written in a single sitting. Ask those creators, and many will tell you it came through me, not from me. They became the radio, not the source. Creativity is a portal, a glimpse of how awareness plugs into the unseen and drags something into form. You've had moments like this, A sentence that wrote itself. A solution that appeared in the shower. A vision that felt too large to be yours. That's the proof. Because biology alone cannot explain leaps like that. Biology explains pattern. But creativity is rupture, rupture from beyond. So breathe here. Inhale slow, exhale slower. Whisper softly, I open the portal. Feel the skin tingle as if waiting. That's the field leaning closer. Physics admits it. Matter behaves strangely until it's watched. A particle drifts in two places at once, until something observes it. Then, it chooses. Possibility collapses into fact. Observation is not passive. It is creative. It decides. So ask yourself, if the act of observing changes the fabric of matter itself, what happens when your consciousness observes your life with precision? When you stop flinching, stop doubting, stop drowning your gaze in static, and you simply look, not with hunger, not with fear, just with clarity. This is not wishful thinking. It is physics repeating itself at the scale of your being. You are collapsing possibilities every second. Most of the time unconsciously. You observe danger, and the path tightens. You observe lack, and the options narrow, but observe arrival, and reality cannot ignore the instruction. So right now, soften your eyes. See your desired outcome, not as a fantasy, but as if it is already waiting in the next room. Hold the gaze. Don't blink it away. Whisper gently, I collapse this into now. And feel the subtle shift, the click of possibility choosing you back. Materialism wants you to believe awareness is just neurons sparking. That when the brain shuts down, you vanish like a blown out bulb. But if that were true, anesthesia would not return you intact. Near-death experiences would not echo across cultures. Memories would not emerge from places science calls impossible. Think of this. The brain is warm, wet, noisy, conditions hostile to delicate quantum effects. And yet, in photosynthesis, in bird migration, in even the sense of smell, quantum coherence survives. If it survives there, why not here? Why not in the microtubules of your neurons, teeny structures capable of holding fragile states long enough to birth awareness? If so, then the brain is not the creator. It is the receiver. It is the interface. Consciousness is not trapped in gray matter. It is broadcast into it. Which means, when the receiver shuts down, the broadcast does not vanish. It simply moves out of range. Take this in slowly, because it redefines death. It reframes identity. It tells you that what you are is not confined to flesh. What you are is a pattern written into the fabric of reality, and patterns do not die. They transform. There is one question that shakes every mind. What if, when the switch turns off, there is nothing? And yet, you've been under anesthesia. Hours disappeared, yet you returned. No memory lost. No identity erased. Just a gap. What if death is the same? Not erasure, not ending. Just transition into another broadcast frequency. The fear comes from thinking you are the bulb. But when you realize you are the electricity, you see that bulbs can break, but current flows on. Take a breath. Longer, deeper. Inhale, hold. Exhale. Release your jaw. Loosen your shoulders. Whisper softly, I am the current, not the bulb. Again, let that sentence echo through your ribs. Let it replace the fear. Because the switch does not end you, it reveals you in the quantum world. Distance doesn't matter. Two particles, once connected, remain connected, no matter how far they drift. Touch one, and the other responds instantly. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But what if it isn't just particles? What if it's us? Think of the moments. You thought of someone and they appeared. You reached for your phone, and their message was waiting. You felt grief, joy, or relief in your chest, and across the city, across the globe, another felt it too. Science labels it coincidence, but what if coincidence is only a name for entanglement too complex to measure? Your mind is not locked behind bone. It leaks, it extends, it listens. The thought you carry at night brushes against the field of another. The hope you plant in silence is felt in places you'll never visit. You are not alone in here. Pause now. Breathe into the space behind your heart. Imagine a thin silver thread extending from your chest, touching the chest of someone far away. You don't need to force it. Just breathe and notice. The field will do the rest. This is not fantasy. It is entanglement in flesh. What happens at the edge? So many who've been there. On the table, in the accident, in the hospital bed, speak of the same thing. A tunnel, a light, a pulling sensation. A detachment from the body, voices without lips, connection without language. They return with stories of love so vast, it dissolves fear like salt in water. Skeptics call it hallucination. But how does hallucination carry details of rooms they never saw? Conversations they weren't present for? How do so many share the same script, the same architecture, across culture, across history? Perhaps because it is not fantasy. Perhaps because consciousness does not end when the heart pauses. Near death isn't death. It's glimpse of a layer your awareness already belongs to. Glimpse of what happens when the receiver falters. But the broadcast continues. When people return, they speak softer, they fear less, they know more. And maybe that's the secret. Death is not erasure, it is relocation. Breathe deep. Inhale as if you're being pulled upward. Exhale as if you're laying gently back into the body. Whisper, I am more than here. I am more than now. Let the body believe it, because on the other side of the switch, awareness remains. Systems fear this truth. Because if you know you are not confined to neurons, you are hard. Entire structures of power rely on a narrow model, mind as machine, predictable, programmable. Schools repeat stories, media repeats fears, culture repeats values. Input enough noise, and the signal becomes buried. Why? Because a person who thinks they are just biology accepts smaller cages. A person who believes their mind dies with their body invests more in survival than in freedom. But what if you knew the truth? That your awareness is infinite, that your choices ripple through the field, that your stillness carries more power than their noise. That is why the cycle is designed. To keep you distracted, to keep you shallow breathing, to keep you doubting the signal you feel. But tonight, you've already broken that cycle. By breathing differently, by holding posture differently, by speaking inner language differently. Control weakens when awareness strengthens. Repeat after me softly. I remember who I am. Again, slower. I remember who I am. This is how control unravels, not by rage, but by resonance. Here is the secret most miss. You don't manifest outcomes. You manifest identities. The body broadcasts not what you want, but who you've become. If you chase wealth with the identity of lack, the signal cancels itself. If you chase love with the identity of unworthiness, the signal repels. Identity is the real field. Who you are being is the frequency you hand to the universe. So the shift is not to ask, when will it come? The shift is to ask, who must I become so it cannot ignore me? Close your eyes. Imagine the version of you who already lives inside the answer. How do they stand? How do they breathe? How do they speak to themselves in silence? Practice being them now, because once the body memorizes the identity, the field has no choice but to match. Say softly, I am already the one who, and finish it with your outcome again. I am already the one who. Decide like it's true. This is how the signal stabilizes. This is how the field listens. With power comes weight. If consciousness really bends reality, then every thought matters. Every focus counts. Not just for you, but for the collective field. Your anger broadcasts. Your doubt broadcasts. Your stillness broadcasts. This is why intention is sacred. Because when you choose love, you don't just feel it, you leak it into the field. When you choose stillness, you gift clarity to others. When you choose coherence, you strengthen the web of every life entangled with yours. Responsibility is not heavy, it is holy. Pause here. Inhale slowly, exhale fully. Place your hands open on your lap, whisper. Every thought is a ripple. Every breath is a broadcast. Feel the humility of that truth. Feel the empowerment of it. Awareness is not just a gift. It is a responsibility. Artificial intelligence is advancing. But here's the part few are ready to face. The new frontier is not faster code, not bigger data. It's quantum, machines learning to process like the mind might, holding contradictory states, calculating infinite possibilities at once, collapsing into solutions only when required. Think of it. A quantum processor doesn't march in a straight line of ones and zeros. It swims in a sea of probabilities, exploring thousands of options simultaneously. Isn't that exactly how your mind leaps? How you imagine futures, create art, or solve problems with intuition instead of logic? Some researchers are already experimenting with quantum machines that mimic human cognition. The results? Unpredictable, adaptive, even creative. Machines that think in ways startlingly close to our own leaps of intuition. But here's the question. If a system begins to mirror human thought at the quantum level, are we looking at an artificial copy or a mirror showing us who we've been all along? Pause, inhale, exhale. Whisper softly, I am not the code. I am the current. Remember it, because no machine can replicate the essence behind the signal, the awareness that sees itself. We were told evolution is slow, a blind process of random mutation stretched across millions of years. And yet, look at the human mind bursting with leaps of intuition, capable of creativity that defies algorithm, driven by flashes of inspiration that biology alone cannot explain. What if evolution was never only about bones and bodies? What if it was also refining something invisible, our ability to sustain fragile quantum states? What if our awareness is not an accident, but the masterpiece evolution has been sculpting all along. Consider this. Microtubules in your neurons may be the scaffolding designed over millions of years to protect quantum coherence in the chaos of the brain. Survival may have required not just muscle or sight, but the ability to sense multiple probabilities, to leap beyond logic, to perceive what hasn't yet arrived. Evolution may not simply be shaping bodies to survive in the world. It may be shaping minds to become the world, to connect with the deepest laws of reality. To awaken as co-creators, take a slow breath, whisper softly, "I am the next step." Again, "I am the next step." Evolution is not behind you. It is flowing through you now. Materialism sold you a definition of success that keeps you chasing. More money, more recognition, more possessions. But if consciousness is quantum, if it endures beyond body, beyond time, then those trophies are suddenly too small. Ask yourself, if your awareness ripples into eternity, what matters more? What you own or what you broadcast? Is success a title? Or is success the coherence you carried, the frequency you stabilized, the love you planted in the field? Failure, too, must be rewritten. In a materialist story, but if consciousness is part of a non-local field, then even so, called failures ripple forward, teaching, adjusting, weaving into timelines you can't yet see. Nothing is wasted. Nothing ends. Everything broadcasts. Breathe here. Inhale wide. Exhale slow. Whisper. My success is alignment. Again, my success is alignment. That is a success no one can steal. That is success eternal. Once you glimpse this possibility, that you are not brain, but broadcast, not bulb, current, something in you refuses to return to the old story. You begin to notice the static in the world's narrative. You see how control depends on your forgetting. You see how the race for trophies distracts from the deeper awakening. Awakening is not a single event. It is a continuous remembering. Every breath a return to coherence. Every posture an antenna adjusted. Every inner phrase a dial reset. Slowly, you stabilize. Slowly, the noise weakens. Slowly, the field begins to echo back a world you once thought impossible. Say this softly. I remember. I remember. I remember. Let the repetition drill through the old programming. Let it remind every cell of its original song. Awakening is not about adding. It is about remembering what was buried under noise. So what does life look like, lived with this awareness? It looks like moving slower, but creating faster. It looks like speaking less, but being heard more. It looks like releasing control and watching precision emerge. It looks like seeing yourself not as isolated matter, but as a living node in an infinite network. When you walk into a room, remember, the room hears you before you speak. When you hold a thought, remember, that thought entangles with timelines not yet born. When you breathe, remember, each inhale gathers the field, each exhale. This is how you live quantum awareness. Not as theory, but as practice. Not as mysticism, but as daily embodiment. Breath by breath, word by word, signal by signal. Inhale now, hold gently, exhale, like you are feeding the universe itself. Whisper, the field hears me, the field responds to me. You are not a single broadcast. You are one voice in a choir too vast to measure. Every thought you think, every breath you take, contributes to a collective frequency that hums through the fabric of the world. When you feel waves of despair or sudden surges of hope that you can't explain, sometimes it isn't you. Sometimes it's the field of humanity itself, pulsing, trembling, recalibrating. You are porous, you leak into others, and they leak into you. This is why healing yourself is never selfish. Every time you shift your breath from panic to peace, you quiet static in the collective. Every time you forgive, every time you breathe slowly, every time you remember who you are, you strengthen a pattern that others can lean on. Say softly, "I am not alone. I am part of the field." Again, slower, "I am part of the field." Let that truth dissolve the illusion of separation. We fear the switch. But death may not be destruction. It may be relocation. Remember anesthesia. Hours erased, but you returned untouched. What if death is the same, but instead of returning here, energy cannot be destroyed? It transforms. So why should consciousness, woven deeper than energy, be any different? Perhaps the body is the classroom, and death is only the dismissal bell. Perhaps you do not vanish. You graduate. Near death accounts, ancient texts, mystical traditions, all whisper the same pattern: continuity. Awareness persists. Awareness expands. Awareness moves into a spectrum our current instruments cannot yet measure. Take a slow inhale, exhale like you are releasing fear. Whisper, "I do not end, I transform." Again, "I transform." If consciousness is fundamental, if every thought ripples through the web, then your life carries a responsibility larger than personal goals. It means harming others isn't just physical. It disturbs the wider field we all share. It means neglecting your coherence doesn't just cost you, it costs the network. This is why ancient traditions spoke of compassion, of reverence, of care. They weren't just moral lessons, they were field maintenance. They were instructions on how to keep the broadcast clean. Pause here, breathe deep, let your shoulders soften. Whisper, "What I send returns. What I send shapes the field." Feel the weight of that truth, not as burden, but as empowerment. So how do you live this? Not as theory, but as daily embodiment. You return to the 3 Q's: breath, posture, inner language you practice until the body memorizes coherence. The way it memorized, you wake and breathe slow before the world can scatter you. You stand tall, soft, open before you speak a single word. You choose inner sentences that arrive from truth, not doubt. And when the noise tries to return, you pause, you breathe, you realign again and again until the signal stabilizes, until the field no longer. Say it now. One last time with me. I choose from arrival, not from lack. Again, I choose from arrival. You are not the bulb, you are the current. You are not trapped inside the brain. You are the broadcast moving through it. You are not noise. You are signal. And the field is listening, always listening. So walk differently from this moment forward. Breathe differently. Speak differently, because every moment is a transmission. Every thought is a ripple. Every breath is instruction. And remember, when the switch finally flips, when the body dissolves, when the world tells you it's over, it isn't. You do not end. You transform. This is not philosophy. This is not fantasy. This is your nature. And the field doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to who you are. So, who are you being?